raw dog as possible. Okay? You want to mitigate the thinning as much as possible. So in this circumstance, what I'm going to do is just back the needle out slightly. Like, very minimalistically. Just kind of open the cone. Like, I just backed it out a fraction of an inch and then retightened it. I'm going to open the cone up and just take a step back. And I'm looking for even, consistent passes with a big cone. And I'm just going to kind of keep wrapping it from the same angle. I haven't let my finger off the trigger once. I'm about 10 inches away from the model with a big cone of influence. I'm not trying to make it maximum opacity. I'm trying to get maximum consistency right now. That's pass 1. That fast. Okay, if you're taking longer than that to lay it down, you could upgrade your efficiency a little bit. Okay, so now pass 2, I like to let it dry for a second. And this is where you might see me start to introduce a little bit of thinner to the process. Right? I would have hit all my guys on my table like that. Okay? Now what I'm going to do is, I'll use a product that I normally don't use. Army Painter, medium. This has more of a thinning quality to it than a slow, dry quality to it. And that's perfect for priming. Talon says, of all the things that link popped up when I searched for Rob's Dark Imperium value breakdown, I had no idea of any of it, but I felt like I was reading a novel of a court witnesses with poor vocabulary. Right? I feel you, Doug. It shows you, what's crazy about that is, everyone's always asking for accountability, transparency, which I ask for that. People want people to take, responsibility for their actions, stuff like that. I did. Better than anyone ever had. And it's been like 8 years that I'm still a shitbag, and every time I do a stream when I'm playing games, people call for, kick me out of the hobby for a lifetime. So you make it real hard for people who want to be transparent and take accountability for their actions and not just lean into lies. When you make it clear that making mistakes or whatever are lifetime bans, in your opinion, happened to TJ Lanigan, right? People are like, ban him from the hobby for life. Dude came out and said, I'm sorry I cheated. They said, you're banned for a year. People are like, no, not good enough. Fuck you forever. It's like, okay, people can't make mistakes, people can't own up to the mistakes, and people can't try to change. Fuck them forever. Got it. So I don't like the background toxicity of the wargaming community. I like the positive side of things. So, here we go. Let's hit it with round 2. I've thinned it down a little bit. And this one should be much quicker. Okay? Now I'm gonna break the paint more, right? And I'm gonna actually add a bunch of water to it, really thin it down. And I'm going to throttle. So we're rocking a much thinner primer. And so I've done 2 passes. That's more than enough. You do all your guys like that, you're fine. Talon says, might be a shitbag, but you're fair and honest. Sexy shitbag. Thanks, man. LT. Yeah, right? I don't even care that I'm okay with people having a reaction. People can have an emotional response to things. That's fine. People can even say things that are stupid and hyperbolic. That's fine. But I don't like irony, and so that's my trigger. And when somebody says something like, "Fuck this guy forever," ban him from the hobby, and anybody who would cheat in a game of toy soldiers is a piece of shit and should just be, exiled. Right? So that's fine, except for how ironic of a statement it is that it's just a game of toy soldiers, is what you said. So anyone who would take it this seriously should be exiled. The inversion is true. It's just a game of toy soldiers, and anybody who would react to something like this is taking it too seriously. Right? Can't you make that argument in reverse? I don't make those arguments in reverse. It's very strawmanny and very shitty. I just read those. I'm just like, I wish you could just like process that information. Like, you make it, like, you literally want to bury somebody over a game. That guy wanted to cheat over a game. That is also true. War Pigment. The problem, the fuck forever mentality is we all end up back in the hobby lockdown. Yep. Waldo's, did I not get 500 points for the credit subs? Love Netties, did Waldo's get 500 bonus Yodogs? Pop goes, I'm like, what have I missed? We're just rehashing a DACA thread from 2014. Talon, I think my reaction is someone coming across as like 7 years after the fact is that people who were the most vocal and demonizing weren't even there. Yeah, that's also ironic. 1+ says, I love how the most vitriolic people are the non-competitive ones. What? Filthy casuals are trash? Are more competitive than competitive people? I didn't say that. They hide behind playing for fun? What? No. So, now I have the ultra thin mix, and I'm going to just sneak this in to any crevasses that I see gray plastic on still. Okay? And so the reason I thin it down so heavily is because I don't want to get any primer buildup. And I'm just throttling my airbrush so that I don't let the moisture build up too much as I just gently rock the needle back. And anywhere I see primer gray, I'm looking for that max coverage. Okay? And so, no... Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Is that Valhalla? Valhalla painting? What's up, homie? Thank you for the raid, bringing that hype train into our Black Templar workup. We're priming this guy black and walking you guys through max coverage in a way that doesn't eliminate details. Now, normally I'd be done with this. I would spend my time making sure it's black, and then I'll go right to edge highlighting and skip all other bullshit steps. Because edge highlight is my favorite step. But because everybody on the internet who has an airbrush, for some reason they get an airbrush and they don't want to edge highlight anymore. I was there too. I understand that feeling. They want to like figure out how to do transitions on black and cut out edge highlighting. Well, that's just not the case. We don't buy airbrushes to make our models look shittier. We bought them so that like the same 3 hours we spent on a model looks like 10 hours. Because now we can get right to the fucking edge highlight and pin wash game. So don't look for a way to do less effort. Look for a way to do more in the same amount of time. Pop goes the monkey. I thought wargamers had short memories. Okay, so I'm just double checking, spot checking with our thin down primer, looking into crevices. If I see anything, I'm just throwing down, and I feel pretty good about this. Now, with a polyurethane, you definitely 24-hour dry time is strongly recommended for a primer, and the polyurethane is stronger than the acrylic, but it's not as strong as enamel. So like a spray paint is always like you give the spray paint 3 hours to settle down, and that thing is burly, right? And polyurethane is just like better than acrylic, but not as good as enamel, in my opinion, for a primer. But the advantage, obviously, is we get to use our airbrush and we get to put the primer on perfectly. So if you've ever had bad experiences by using rattle can primer in the past, or your region has too much humidity or whatever, or maybe you're in white situation and going outside with a bunch of models and a spray can isn't viable, you want to make sure you do have good airbrush priming habits. Now, you don't actually need to let the polyurethane cure for 24 hours if you're just careful. It will cure. The evaporation process has already taken place. It's dry, right? So the curing process doesn't rely on evaporation. So it can cure under coats of paint as long as you're careful. So Now what we're going to do is, that's a really solid black. Like, that primer is black. Like, I fucking love that. But now what we're going to do is take a little transparent black. This one's almost empty. It's almost cashed. Let me see if I can shampoo bottle this thing with a little flow improver. Straight up transparent black. Oh, speaking of the Monument Hobbies devil, this Monument Slow Fuse and Gentastic. This is Jason Craze and Gentastic coming in just in time. We just used Monument Hobbies black primer, and right now I'm just hitting it with some air to make sure that our evaporation process has occurred. Okay, and it can be now it's just curing, and we have a very, very clean finish here on this black. Okay, and I am going to jump the gun and start throwing transparent black over it as soon as I can see these shiny dry, wet patches removed. Okay, and once I see those vanish, then I'm confident it'll cure just fine, like under paint, as long as I'm careful. So now we have pure transparent black in here. We shampoo bottled it with a little bit of flow improver, and I'm going to make sure our flow looks right. I'm going to open the cone up. Now, I might have to open it a little bit more viciously than that. I'm going to back the needle out like a fraction. There we go. Deck flow coming in for that raid. Look, guys, we're going to hit it with a big cone from a far distance, and we're just going to hit it with one consistent sheet of transparent black. And I'm trying to jam this transparent black in all the nooks and all the crannies. Trying to over black it, you know? Like, transparent black is like black as hell. Like, I love this shit. Deck flow, Monument Slow Fuse, Valhalla painting. Thank you guys for those raids. Gonna get some fucking hype in the chat for these fucking legends. Now, full advisory. Swolebot is offline right now. The server is being relocated. It's in the process of moving right now. Yodog is taking over some of our other commands. It may be kind of janky. And also, update, it seems like PayPal is rejecting payments via Streamlabs. So if you're trying to get in on the race, you might try PayPal. If you're trying to get Yodogs or trying to get the beanie, you can try it. But it might be a credit card only situation. We tried disconnecting it, reconnected it. We don't know what's working. We got 2 first-time chatters in here. We got Mamote Toy. I want to say Matt Toy. Kiss from Flo. Dope. And Despotic Panda. Somebody just joined the Panda Army right there. Welcome to the chat, guys. Exclamation point beanie. Exclamation point top D. All that shit. We're giving some shit away. So we're letting this cure up. We're gonna hit it with just some air. Reseat the needle so you don't just keep spraying it, because when you back the needle out, it will always spray paint. So now we're just gonna dry up that transparent black. Trying to get that black Templar black to the black. Okay. And now I'm gonna rock the needle back and do one more pass. Just really give it that ultra black filter. Real fast, big cone. Don't let it get piled up and wet. Make sure you jam it in all the nooks and crannies. And so, like, normally I'd be like, that's my airbrushing. All 100 guys are done now, you know? And then it's that childline time. But no, we're going to modulate. Sorry, you don't need to fucking do it. But everyone wants me to do it again. I've done 1,000 ways of doing black for you guys that don't involve modulation, but we're going to modulate anyway. There's transparent black in this pot. So what we're going to do is just add a smidgen of white. Corvidai. We are good for a hobo stream. Corvidai, thank you, brother. Corvidai, see, I just added a smidgen of white to the mix. I'm going to add a smidgen of sky blue to the mix. And I'm making sure not to dump too much in the pot. Sunshine Grenadier, you fucking gangster. See, I'm using my paintbrush to make sure we're queued up. So we have a nice blue-gray. That's too bright. Right out the gate. Anybody who has problems doing what I'm about to do, that's too bright. So I'm putting more transparent black in there. Sunshine Grenadier, thank you for your support, legend. We're going to darken that up a little bit. Shampoo bottle is ended on that black. What I'll do is maybe grab some coal black just to body it back up. Where's my coal black at? That's blue black. No. Feel like I'm always out of coal black. Oh wait, I found some more transparent black. This might work. Stoppy Joe's. Thank you. And Sunshine Grenadier, you legend. So you want to make sure your black has a little blue in it. You've made your own custom gray. And it's not very bright. A little flow improver. A little water. So respect and opacity. Okay. Now the trick is that you don't want this guy to be gray. And that's always what happens. Okay? So we want to be very particular with our approach. Okay? So right here, I'll show you some real simple shit, okay? We are going to just work a center mass front highlight right here. Slight modulation. Hold on, I think I might need to thin it down a little bit more. We'll see. Okay. Subtle, subtle. Right there. Just a little bit right there. Now, you've got this awesome panel. So, it would be really sick to just try to work this seam right here. Just a little highlight right there. And see if I angle it like this, I should be able to kind of just run a line right across. Lowering the opacity, trying to really respect the values. Like that. Let that dry. Let's put a little bit right here. Because the more you do, the more gray he becomes and the less black Templar he is. So if we're just trying to say he's got some highlights, you got to keep it real subdued, okay? A little bit on this edge right here. A little bit on his helmet. Chest. Bottom of the greaves. Right there. Okay. Let's smooth this out. Now, I'm okay because I'm going to use black to fix anything I don't like. Now, you need to fight the temptation to go any brighter than this. There's no brighter than this, okay? You're just not doing it. Now, you see, I've got a highlight coming from this panel, but this panel should also have something going on it. And so should this one. So we're going to have to, rather than do any kind of taping or masking, I'm just going to throw some gray in there right now. And I'll fix it with my paintbrush. Okay? I'll show you how. Now just double checking, making sure our... See, this is getting really gray up here. That's fine because I'm not going to let it be that gray in the end. Okay, so I'm going to save this because this is going to be important for later, this mix I made. So I'm going to pour this half on my desk, half in this bottle cap lid. Let's shampoo bottle this other transparent black with some water. Dredge for Life, where'd I get that head? That head actually came from the speeder we just did, the jet bike. It's from one of VA Design's other models. So I did a quick fling and clean, leaving some dirty paint water in there. We're going to put transparent black back in. So this will be much blacker. And we're going to use this to smooth out the mid-tone. Okay? See that? Right there. We're going to move in right here. See, bear in mind, I'd already be edge highlighting this guy. Okay? I'd already be halfway through the first round of edge highlights. Now I'm going to thin this mix down more. I'm going to throttle the fuck out of it. Dredge for Life, where to get... Oh, we were talking about that. Talon, I've been thinking about getting some Tamiya double-sided tape for hobo shields, no doubt. So this is like a very low opacity black filter. And I'm just making sure anything that's threatening to make my model a gray Templar, I'm repairing. You see? Now, let's say we can apply a hobo shield. And if I can't do it easily, then I won't. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this right here. And I'm going to black up that section. Black up that section. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to keep those panels looking sick. With this black filter, right? I'm trying to keep a bit of a highlight going though. It's just a little gray on one plane. This one actually came out good on that side, just kind of naturally the way we did it. OnePlus says I'm doing it. Yep. Everybody on the internet wants me to do it. Right there. Now I'm probably gonna use my paintbrush for a lot of this too. Right there. But like, yeah, I feel like I could just use my paintbrush for a lot of this. I feel like we're just making it harder. Let's set the airbrush down for a second. I may need it again. OnePlus says, I feel like you get to the end, then set it next to your typical black style, and it's like, see, worse. Yes. Yeah. Worse and longer. I'm just rinsing my brush. So what we want is a little bit, we want some straight up black here. Nope, this is empty. We shampoo bottled this one to non-existence. Some black. Some water. This brush might need a little bit of a rinse. So we're going to lower the opacity of this water, or this paint. Take some moisture off, and I'm going to use it now to manually adjust this panel right here. With a quick heart pull. Okay? See that? Like that clear break? I want the line to be darker, like right against the top, because we highlighted it on that ledge. So we want to make sure it's like obviously darker right there, and it's, see, as it's drying, it's gonna blend in okay. But we want to move around and do that on places, like right here. Right here, using the heart pull tip of the brush. See that? Just building those lines, and you see as it dries, it's not too difficult to reinforce. Talon, you mean you don't modulate black with your airbrush? Do I even paint? That's true, I don't. Turbo Cheese, I know you keep bugging about D2R, so I'm level 73, beat all nightmare, but I don't feel like I have good enough gear for hell. The farmate, Eldritch, Pillowskin, Shank. What character are you? And that's common, don't worry. You're not. What's your tune? So we can take an opportunity to go through other panels now, see? Let's get more black. Right there. Get that panel. That panel. Black them up. Oh God, my fucking lower back. And so what you want to do is just kind of take this transparent low opacity mix and just darken these panels that are kind of buttoned up against your airbrush job. And just kind of deploy this black filter. See? And I have the light blowing it out right now, but it's much darker, as you can see, than what you're looking at. Looking good. Termagee started a mall bear. They will get buffed next year sometime. So you're running a bear. Yeah, it's gonna be tough without godly. Oh, first off, Termagees. Melee characters take more godly gear than the casters. Fact. So you're already. It's already hard for you. And the Fireclaw bear relies on fire damage, right? That's the most damage you can do. Well, unfortunately, that's the most common immunity, right? Stoppy Jones says, man, this seems like a lot of work. Why wouldn't you just spray black and go straight to edge highlighting? Yeah. Yeah. Fucking no. So Termagees, what I would do is respec, because if you already have 70 hit point, if you already have 70 level 70, you've done all your skill quests, you can do a bargain basement Wind Druid. You should have enough points to make that respectable. And so go to the D2 squad on Discord, like get the reaction roll, and go to D2 squad and like post in there to remind me to show you later. I'll show you what gear you need stuff for a budget. Meticulous Chaos just got here. What baller chapter we painting? Now, remember how I told you I saved that one gray? So I'm gonna grab it. It's already airbrush thin, see? And I'm gonna use it to filter the connection between the black and the rest of that panel. Okay, and that's a little wetter than it should be. I'm not gonna lie, that's a little lazy of me. That way, that black strip we put in there isn't so aggressive. You see it poking through right there? Termacheese, yeah, I got you, man. As a matter of fact, I just rolled my Wind Druid last night. Like, I collected all the gear. 1+ saves. If you're in chat, I got a Jaw Rune that dropped the other day. Slung it, converted to Form Gold. Prices are down now, so I was able to, like, fully kit out my Wind Druid. Minus the Enigma and Arachnids, which I already have, and I just moved those around my characters. And full inventory skillers. He's at level 77 now, and he fucks. I'm solo. I'm self-rushing hell right now. So just that strip really has smoothed it out. Now here's the problem: we need the dark things to still be dark. And so now, because I modulated it, now I gotta go back in there and do a whole other fucking step. Let's make sure though to smooth out all of our panels that And I can actually kind of use some lazy wet glazing here and bring the black back in while it's still wet. See that? And get a little transition going. Wet black. Here's that gray that I saved. See that? And you want to go through and kind of make that a reality in as many places as possible. See that? Grab the wet gray. And this is, none of this is opaque. That's all see-through. But by using the moisture, we're going to get that blend back restored right there. See that? Right on that panel line? That's what we want. Since I have the gray in the brush, I'll do the gray side on this first. I'll pick up some of that black. There we go, smooth that out. So now our panel has a better modulation to it. So now let's pull out the little guy, the little brush, and let's just be a brute and drop some dark lines in. Because now some of my recesses are bright. So here's some water, here's some transparent black. And we're going to use the little brush, and we're going to use the heart pull strategy. And we're just going to kind of go through crudely and embed some pretty righteous transparent black into these recesses, you see? And, I mean, I'd already be highlighting because all this would be like black right now. But, you know, modulate your airbrushing, that's fine. Box that out. Since I'm here, let's stipple on these nuts. Always wash your nuts. Semi-opaque and a little wet. Let's run it in here. Kind of frame that box out. Get these nuts. And I'm going to paint these little things, obviously, like, you know, probably metallics and shit. So it's okay to get too much black on them. I like to do my pin washes first, because if I fuck up a pin wash, I'm going to use that highlighting tech to erase it. Okay, so here, be careful. Heart pull strategy, tip of the brush. Rotate. Straight back to your heart, tip of the brush. Rotate. Rotate. Get that border. I don't like this seam. I think I could have done a better job with the putty. That was kind of rushing this morning. I did put putty in it though. We're just gonna move through. Get it all done. Rotate. And you can afford to be a little lazy here because it is black on black and it's not going to be too shitty if you get out of the lines a little bit. Shucky D. This is a old school Logitech 920 Carl Zeiss lens. They don't make it anymore. The new 920s will not get this sharp. It's the only reason I haven't gotten a DSLR is because I have the old ones. I have two old school Carl Zeisses. The 920 is like $50, but when I bought them, they were like $250. Okay. Let's make sure that our dark lines are looking at a little bit more viewable in some areas. We're just using some transparent black. It's a little bit thinned down. Like I said, just kind of commit yourself to doing the pin washes right now. And get it all done. That's a heart pull, right? We use the tip of a brush, pull straight back to our heart, rotate. Semi-opaque and just a little wet. Stipple, heart pull right there. I'm going to sneak in right there, right there, right there. Let's see if we can get under the knee pad. Right there. Let's move up to the hand. Right there. Right there. Basically just lifting every panel off the model. As you can see. Hey, sweetie. Oh, sorry about that. I had the vacuum down here. I heard you looking for it. Okay, looking good. Let's rotate. Let's run back to this leg. Heart pull, embed the tip. Drag down. Right here. Got a little too much on his foot there. That's okay, though. Dog hates the vacuum. Tiny dog alert. Shucky, or more pigment. The 922 gets close to the old 920. It just doesn't have the same. Also, I think a linchpin is that I have the old EX file for installer for this camera specifically, and I feel like I get so much more focus capability. And I think one of the mistakes people make is they get a webcam like I have, and they try to rely on autofocus. No. I manual focus everything. I'm staying in my focal range right now, and that's why I'm always reaching over and dialing it in. I will never rely on this thing's ability to autofocus. And I feel like the new software doesn't give me that same control. So for 5 years, I've been manually focusing every shot for this. Got a little fat right there. He's not even glued in right there. These arms aren't even glued on. They just push to fit. So we made a lot of the dark things darker. We're gonna do a few more. Right there. Look for that vertical. Let's get these nuts back here. So nice, just subtle darkening of all the dark areas on his body and a lot of his person. Let's run to the backpack. Transparent black in the recess. Let's rotate, look for a proper heart pull. Right there. Let's jam it in the inside of here. There, rotate. Now, a lot of people, what they want to do is they want to overly modulate the black and then just wash it all black. And then at that point, I'm like, oh my God, why? That's like, why did we even bother? Why didn't we just paint it black and then highlight it? You know? Even this is an obnoxious amount of work that we could have bypassed. Because you got to make the dark stuff darker. The second you start throwing airbrushing on it, you're making recesses too bright. You see, like the reason we have to put that line back in is because the airbrushing made it bright there. We want to put a little line right here on his ear. He's got some nuts across his forehead we want to hit with the stipple technique. Like so. Now, that's good enough. So let's move into some edge highlighting. What I'll do is grab a little bold titanium white. A little sky blue if I can pop some down right here. And what we're going to do is get some transparent black, some white, some blue. And you want to start with a pretty dark position. It's a little wetter than I like. Right, because I typically preach like high opacity, low moisture. But I should be able to, with light brush pressure, ride this rail right here using the side of my brush. Just like that. And we're looking for horizontal, higher opacity, less moisture than what we've been doing, and we're looking to ride these rails from a horizontal position. Hold your breath, swing it from right to left. And because I'm respecting the value and not just grabbing some super fucking bright gray, I'm getting some really nice lines that even if I get a little fat on my line or fuck up a little bit, it is likely to just kind of like absorb into the real estate. Pretty easily. So here we're going to use a real shallow approach to try to hit this frame. Now that box is in the way, so I need to move it from this angle. Right there. Always take that minute to rotate the model. Don't get lazy with this technique. And you see super skinny crisp lines every time. Every fucking time. Now, what you want to do is kind of hit everything at the same level first. So let's see if we can actually run. You can't always trace things, but let's see if we can trace this with a really shallow approach from this extreme angle. Now, if I get off frame, let me know, guys. Kind of in a weird position here, trying to get this. Let's see if we can get this guy right here. Now, important is getting the lower shelf in here. In here. In here, we got to use the tip of our brush, but ride the rail simultaneously. See that? So now I'm finally doing the only part that matters after all that work. Right? So let's kind of rebuild some of this mix. And we're just looking for those tracers. And so with black, I like to edge highlight basically everything. And people are like, that takes so long. And I'm like, but what if I didn't do any airbrushing or washing? Would it still take long? If that was the only step that mattered? That was really your only task? You know what I'm saying? Now, using the transparent black to do this is tricky. I should just be using cold black because like I'm constantly having to deal with like a slightly wetter version of my edge highlight mix and have to use much lighter brush pressure. But it is doable. See, always looking for that shelf. Now I have the light blowing it out, but let me get it to more really where it lives. This is where it lives. And you can see that we have a subtle graying effect, but this model's black. So we were very careful to make sure that we didn't take it to gray, right? Because then it's like not black Templar. So how much more you have to pay attention in the airbrush step, combining with all the pin washing that you have to do, then we still have to edge highlight things, makes it just, to me, diminishing return. Dark Side Creations, the legend in chat. So now let me gray it back out by cranking the light. So we're going to ride this rail right here. Let's get the bottoms of these. So we're going to try to get the whole side done at this stage. See, just make sure you're always rotating. Riding those rails. Now this one's a tricky one. Let's see. I don't know if I can do it. So I might have to use a tracer. A heart pull. So you want to ride the rail with a heart pull. Right there. So you can't always rely on the tracer. You don't always have access to it. The heart pull is a little trickier. That's why we always try to hold it in a position where we can pull straight back, because it's easier to keep straight lines when you're pulling back to your body. Let's run back to our mess over here. Our blue-gray. Right there. Now, since I'm here, let's trace this leg. Like brush pressure. Higher opacity, lower moisture. Let's see. We might have to just heart pull here. Okay. Rotate. Right there. Anything I can trace, I'll do it real quick. But I think we're running out of tracers. I think we're going to have to go back into heart pull mentality here in a second. So here, use the tip of your brush and trace. Cognizant of that tip penetration. Now we're going to have to go into heart pull mode. So here, your best bet is to just sneak in with light brush pressure right here. And by respecting the value, those lines, even if they get a little wacky, just blend right in. I said, a lot of people to do is they'll just grab like black, and then they'll grab some random gray that's just vastly too disrespectful. Let's run a heart pull on this bottom seam right here. There we go. OnePlus says it's cooking. What's the mix you're using for the highlight? God, I have literally taught you this in class. Maybe that's the problem. Let me break this down. Okay? Black Templar, he's black. Right? What makes black brighter? Right? What makes black brighter? White. Okay? So if we go roughly 50-50, that's a stock gray that is so many stops away from black that this is insanity. Okay? So now that I have gray, I might throw a little blue in there. So I'm into saturated gray. Now I'm going to treat this as the thing that makes this brighter. See? And I'm going to just take this gray to something that is a lot more respectful of this position. Right? And then that's what we'll use. Another way of looking at it is like this. You see like this red and this red? You know how a lot of times you're going to airbrush this red OnePlus saves? Then you're going to like 50-50 them and then airbrush this red. And then you're going to airbrush that red on top. The thing is that this red is super respectful of this red already. Black and white, black and bright gray are just so far from that. You're used to doing this, and when you apply this to black and white, you fuck it up. So you need to be aware of this respect. So this black and this gray are way more similar to this now. And this is much more respectful. So when you respect the value game, like we do with the airbrush steps, everything gets easier. And see, I just made that up, and it's a perfect color match for what I already have here. It's just the thing that makes it darker, the thing that makes it brighter, and some blue. And you use your artist instinct and you make it ride. Let's run a quick heart pull right here. Let's run a tracer here. This is a tricky bevel. The arm bevel is sometimes really tricky. The elbow. And see, that was a little fat. Remember I said like sometimes you're going to fuck up. Now, if you respected it enough, that might be salvageable. If it's not salvageable, I'll show you why black is also easy, because glaze edits and repairs are so fucking easy. Now, sometimes you make mistakes because you're trying to you're running a tracer when you're trying to run a heart pull. So my current gray is a little too disrespectful. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is glaze edit by grabbing some water, grabbing some black, lowering the opacity, take some of that moisture off the brush, and we're just gonna move it right in there like this. It's a filter, and we're gonna subtract from that highlight. Okay, that's all you got to do. Let that dry. He's like, OnePlus says this. Mine doesn't work that well. So once that dries, you'll know if you've saved it or not, or if you have to do it again. It's that simple. Okay. Now we've done all of this side one pass. Now I'm going to lower the light back down so you can see what it really looks like. You see, this is pretty fucking awesome. So now what we can do is, now that we've generated a respect line, we can make a new line that respects that line, right? So this is much bluer, much brighter. And this is so disrespectful to black, but this isn't that disrespectful to what we've done. So now this is where you can play with throwing more blue in. See? Like, it's obviously blue-gray. And now what we can do is we can pop off this line we already made and just hit the sharp angles. See? We're not going to redo shit. We're just going to add. Kind of hit that nut a little bit by accident right there. Might have to fix that, but you know, you can't. Not every line is always going to be perfect. So the fail rate of this gray over stock black is high. But the fail rate of this over what we already did is low. See that? Ping, 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 ping. And we're not doing it all. Like I said, I'm already almost done. See? Look at that. Neon black, baby. Neon black all day, every day. Craig Ubers says, "What's up? Have you been getting into D2? Yeah, dog. We usually stream it on Sundays. I play it almost every day. I actually just rolled my Wind Druid. I self-found a Jaw Rune, flipped it on JSP, funded all the gear I needed in it that I didn't already have. Like literally inventory full of skillers, all the shit. New CTA, everything. So he's actually like level 77 and I'm self-rushing hell right now. I ran him as a Fire Druid for progression. And I'm looking forward to playing him on Sunday on stream. Still learning all my hotkeys and shit. Because I just respec'd him last night to be Wind. Okay, this is tricky right here. Let's see if we can find the angles. See that? Just pop, 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 pop. Painting black is secretly easy, guys. I don't know how many times I have to do a video on this. Death Voodoo says, too bad they fixed the town fissure bug. I didn't even know about that. I hadn't even seen it. I only just started the character like 48 hours ago. Ran all that fissure bullshit. Already respect. Wasn't even aware there was a bug. Dope. See, guys, we're just popping. See that? And this, so to me, this is where you put your modulation and your intrigue. You put it into this with those blues. Sometimes I'll put a little flow improver on my palette just to keep my tip from drying because it's currently drying up a little bit. So we're going to try a really careful heart pull right here. And that's a shiny ass black, right? Pow, son. Death Voodoo says back in the day you could cast you could cast outside town inches. The animation would disappear, but the spell would be active and people could run into it and die. Nice. Can I get some strong man love in the chat from my boy Chaos Kev dropping that 10x multiply. 230 bonus yo dogs. Oh shit, I still have double yo dogs up. Oh, he got one in on me. He got one in on me. Double yo dogs. I left it up. Fixing it now. Chaos Kev was the last one. Thank you so much, brother. Can I get some strong man love in the chat for him? He says keep them Christmas lights on. Ed the Dread says, glad you're doing this. I've been struggling with my Black Templar scheme and had landed on just edge highlighting and going black. Oh my god, this is so funny. Did you just tune in, Ed the Dread? Without messing with the fade? Your work looks dope, but giving me that perspective. Did you just tune in? I literally spent an hour trash talking the fade. You don't need to do it. I'm doing it almost as a meme. It's like a meme. Don't do it. It makes the whole thing unnecessarily hard. I'm doing it deliberately because everyone keeps fucking asking for it. Oh, okay, he's been watching. Thank God. Oh. Thank God. It's just unnecessary. Because if I just sprayed it black and went to this edge highlighting, Ed, it would be fine. It would look sick. That's why you're thankful. I'm glad. I'm glad you got some perspective. I was like, oh no. Did I do the opposite? Did I encourage this again? Let's run a little bit right here. Right here. Now let's lessons learned. Heart pull instead of trace. Right there. I haven't glued the hand on yet, so I still have access to tracing here. Moonface Killer says, happy holidays. I just started a new job next year, and hopefully I'll be able to catch your streams more often. Moonface Killer, I miss you, dog. Apex King, what up, player? So I feel pretty good about that. Now, if you want to go harder than this, you can. Now, I realize I didn't do any highlighting in the head. We'll save the head for later in the backpack. But if I want to go harder, like into this spectrum, now you can. You just want to be very, very sparing with the pops. Here, high opacity, low moisture. See? King, king, king. A little bit right there. That's it. Maybe it might be dope to put some of this down on these lower shelves. Now, let's go back in time to something more respectful and use stippling technique. And get these nuts that we washed. You want to be very aware of what your brush tip is doing when you're doing this technique. Just put a little pop on those nuts. Fuck that one up. I knew I would. I can tell by the angle I was approaching that that nut would get a little wacky. So what I'll do real quick is just take some of the transparent black again. Stipple around it. Rebuild that seam. GG. Okay, so that's a good start. We had a slow start to the stream because PayPal was broken. And Swolebot is broken, and our fabricator general is currently moving to his new home in a different state, and the servers are in the back of his Tesla. So we had to make some modifications to the show, but we did it. We showed you how to do this modulation, and again, like I have to like blast it with light for you to see it. This is what it should look like when it's blasted with light. If your black Templar looks like this in normal lighting, you fucked up. In normal lighting, it should be like hard to look at, right? But when you see this, it makes everything viewable, right? We have framed everything. We have our fucking contrast. This shit is black. This base is black. But that base starts not looking black anymore, you know what I'm saying? You know the light's too much, so... But if you have normal lighting and the base is still black, but your model's gray like this, you fucked up. So I use the base as my touchstone. And even the base, see that shine on the base? How at the apex it's super bright and then it vanishes? That's kind of what we've done everywhere here. But we engineered blue into it. So that is the darkest position. It's really simple, guys. You don't want to overthink it. So anyone new here, this might be new information to you. Or we have a lot of private students in this chat, though. This isn't. So what makes black bright? White. Okay? Don't worry about grays. You'll make your own gray. McCool says, oh, yeah, I love your Necro. You still rocking a throw barb? No, I just did the throw barb for like 24 hours. He's back to being a PvP barb. But I did just roll a new Druid, and he is ready to be showcased on Sunday. Now, what's the thing that makes our highlights interesting? It's blue. So I'm going to grab some sky blue. Now, one of the things I like to do when I edge highlight is put a little flow improver down. Flow improver helps mitigate dry time. Now, everything is opacity and moisture, as I've mentioned. So, the definition you will learn in my private courses if you choose to take them. We have a definition for every technique. This technique, high opacity, low moisture. Now, with all things in my classes, there's this concept we call respect. You got to respect everything. And so the reason why we do it this way is simple. Because a gray, right, 50-50 black-white is gray. You might find yourself reaching for some gray, and you think this will work. That will not work. That is utterly disrespectful to this black. What you need is just something more like this. Right? And maybe a little blue for intrigue. Okay? So that's going to be a hell of a lot easier, even something like this. Hell of a lot safer. Okay? See, it's just a little bit brighter than that black now. So rather than rely on grays, just make gray occur. And if you just always use your eyes to like determine what you feel like respect is, you'll be fine. So now we're going to use high opacity, low moisture. And we're going to use some of our brush control techniques. I'm using a lot of light so you guys can see this. But what we want to do is find angles that let us use the control technique called the tracer. So right here, I should be able to use the side of my brush. It's kind of hard because the base is in the way. So I didn't glue him on his base. So I'm going to take him off just real quick. And I'm going to get in a position where I'm horizontal. And I'm going to ride the rail with light brush pressure. Just like that. So Now what we're going to do is turn the model, look for that horizontal plane, ride the rail. I'm going to spend as much time on the palette as I need to load the brush up. Ride the rail. Ride the rail. I'm going to put him back on his base because I don't want to hold him and rub paint off of him. Already dissatisfied. Here we go. And by creating such a respectful gray, anytime I accidentally make a fat line, it's probably going to be fine. It's probably going to just blend into the real estate. And so rotating the model, looking for the horizontal tracer is really the trick here. Take time to keep moving the model and changing the viewing angle to facilitate this line. Change the angle. I'm going to move from the top. I'm going to use a shallow approach here, more tip. And I'm going to ride this angle. Now, a lot of the stuff on a Space Marine is very traceable as a technique. Okay? You see that very first line we're doing is very ghostly. You're scared. Hold your breath, swing it from right to left. I'm using more tip. Very shallow approach on those lines. Because not every rail is equal. Not every rail is like a crispy 90-degree angle. So when it's more shallow, or when it's more, shallow like this, you got to also be shallow. See that? But cool. Love your necro. Oh, we already talked about that. You can use that. You can use yellow for sun color minis. Yeah, that's a warm black. So I wouldn't do that here because I chose to be deliberately in the cool spectrum with the blue. More neon, like neon black. But that is a good point if you want to channel some realism. Now, don't get obsessed with the tracer because it's not always possible and you will make mistakes always trying to do the tracer. So now I'm going to do the bottom shelves. Be cognizant of tip penetration. Shout out to Oz Pete for that reset. What up, homie? Now, with this ghost line, it's actually, this first ghostly highlight actually is so low pressure, I'm moving so fast with it. So just looking for anything that's traceable. Being a little bit more efficient than we were on the first side of the model. And we'll come back in and do tracer or heart pulls next. So right now I'm focused on tracer technique. Fucked up. First fuck up, okay? Don't panic. Grab a little moisture. Like that. So I just added water to lower the opacity of that out. Because remember, I was running high opacity. And while it's still wet, I'm going to take a little bit of black back in. Just a touch of it. And just kind of walk that black down. Let that dry. No worries. Just opacity and moisture. 1+8 is your sub won't reset before the month ender? Oh no, that sucks. So let's see. We might have to just do heart pulls. Okay, so tip of the brush. Pull back to your heart. Don't fight your normal bone structure. I'm going to modify heart pull tracer right here. But probably going to have to just rely on the heart pull strategy. Right there. So when you need to draw a line like this, always try to make it vertical back to your body. So again, I fucked up right there. It's because I'm rocking it so opaque. And before I wasn't this opaque. So I got to fix that. Again, I'm going to take some watered down black. Just jam it right in there. Just filter it down. Too easy. And so now let's generate a few other heart pulls we need to work on. Right there. Right there. Right there. Top of the boot. Under the knee pad. This little like servo thing right here. Let's run in to the hand. 2 tracers. Tracer. Tracer, tracer. Rotate. Look for that horizontal line. Tracer. So that ghost line, real easy, withstands a lot of mistakes. We made a lot of mistakes and it still is fine, right? Now here's a spot where we have to run a tracer as well. Sorry, a heart pull. Right there. So now you see there's a big difference though between this and this. So the solution is now it's time to upgrade the blue and white factor in our gray. So now what we're going to do is make it disrespectful to black, but respectful to it, right? To this gray. And now all we got to do is just pop out some of the sharp angles real quick. Make sure your brush load isn't too heinous. So we're not going to redo it. We're just going to augment it, okay? So this is the second step. It's fast. This is tricky because the base, so we're just gonna glide across the rail using the heart pull strategy. Right there. Ping, 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 ping. And don't be afraid to completely flip the viewing angle over for this procedure. Let's move back in to our tracer technique or a heart pull technique right here. Tip of the brush, just pull back, ping ping. I'm gonna get a little flow improver because I'm getting dry tip. So now let's move into the armor carefully. Like I said, just kind of hit sharp angles. Move back to heart pull. Robbie Philly, thank you for the follow, brother. We got about 10 minutes left in this final four, guys. Exclamation point beanie. Thank you guys for your support. Helping me out. Do appreciate it, man. That's how I keep the fucking lights on, man. Now, again, looking good, right? But it's not the same as the other side. And I'll show you again here. Let's just get a couple more spots. We haven't done the helmet or anything yet. But look. It's just more blue and white than this side. So we're gonna get a lot bluer. And a little whiter. Ping. Ping, ping. Just kind of hit those final shine notes, you see? That's why I advocate for, like, we don't need to modulate this with the airbrush. We could just do this over pure black and it's going to always look sick. Move in real careful up here. There we go. It's looking super, super neon. Let's move the light back up. So like you see, he's black, right? He's not gray. And when I turn the light to something normal, you see my hands, they're not in shadow. He becomes neon black, and then all the other augments will start pulling things out. But when you look at that black armor, it is ballin'. Let's move a little bit in right here. Let's make sure that we get a little bit right here with a heart pull. said, we haven't done the trim on the shoulders or anything yet. I think it's black trim. The Black Templar have black trim or in white fields. Go back in time to something a little bit more respectful. So the helmet is tricky. Got to do a heart pull. Tracer. Got to move in and hit the side of the mohawk with a heart pull because it's very soft. There's no actual rail to ride. Right there. Just gotta just kind of artificially cut it in. His earpiece. Going to run a little light tracer right there. Now there is another bevel to the ear. Gonna run a heart pull to capture it. Now we gotta get his under eyes. Which is kind of tricky. I'm going to ride this very precarious eye shelf. To get that frame. May have gotten some paint where I shouldn't have. For going by the book, bikers and fast tag have red trim, white fields. Oh, okay. Red is more fun. I'm all about red. So let's get more respectful. Let's go all the way back in time. Okay, we got only 3 minutes left in the giveaway, guys. If you want to jump in, you got to jump in quick. Nope, I want to get a little blacker than that. And I'm going to just kind of draw a frame with a much blacker version of the gray. Get a little bit more black. And try to build some like opposing highlights here with about 2 minutes left, guys. I'll go into overtime regardless to do some final strokes here. Appreciate the support, guys. Ticklish Chaos, Elite, Sword Brother, and Sergeant Models have red trim. Got it.
Hey, are you Dirty Mike and the boys?
Your caps! Rub your dicks on the car as you run away! We are gonna have sex in your car! It will happen again.
Hashtag Dirty Mike Life! Exclamation point. Prius. Shout out to Mostra Morty dropping a I don't even know what that is. $15x multiplier. Love minis. 345 yo dogs. For Mostro Morty. NWO, Nurgle, World Order, Death Guard, Life. He knows. He's a man who knows what's up. And we did just put us in overtime. I do appreciate it. Can I get that strong man love in the chat? Exclamation point Prius. Do we have the Prius command? Is it gone? Oh, we got it. It's the old school one. Do we still have soup? They probably vanished. Shout out to Mostro Morty. Mostro Morty, he knows. Now, Mostro Morty, I'm careful. And I'm trying to just build very sharp and precise highlights around his features. And I'm just using the heart pull and a little respect. Now you can see him, right? Now let's see if we can get a little bit on this backpack. I've been handling this guy in too much. So here,
you gotta get swifty in here. It's time to get swifty. Uh-oh. You gotta get swifty.
Strong man love.
Oh, yeah.
44 seconds in overtime.
Take off your pants and your panties. Shit on the floor.
Yo, Meticulous Chaos, Mostro Morty, Chaos Kev, Sunshine Gun of Deer, the red ones. Thank you guys for kicking it with me. We're going to get this backpack kind of curated before we get out of here. We still have 25 seconds left in the giveaway, though. That got a little bright, okay? We're going to have to fix that later. We're having to use a lot of heart pull. With 4 seconds left, there it is. That is our final 4. Thank you guys. Now this is a good example of how to fix mistakes again. Now, see, I fucked up a little bit, right? So let's go back to black, some water, a little bit of gray still in there, that's fine. Lower the opacity, take some moisture off. And we're just going to drop a filter right over that spot I fucked up, okay? It's going to dry almost instantly because I took so much moisture off. I'll be able to do a second pass to filter it down. You see how it's just going to knock it down and repair it? And it gives me an undo button. And go back in there and kind of rebuild it. Pow! Simple, simple. Edge highlight in black, secretly easy. We would have been already painting details on this guy if we didn't fuck around with the airbrush so much, though. And so I guess I will do the red trim because I think that's awesome. We got to paint the fields white. But I'm not going to lie. I didn't glue these arms on. I'm going to pop them off. And I'm going to just crudely airbrush the white fields in and then recut in the black by hand. I just, for this part of the tutorial, I didn't want it to be all disassembled like that.